first. Thursday saw Nairobi's bid to send troops to Haiti both overcome a hurdle and encountering a new one. Parliament approved the government's request to send 1,000 police officers to help the Caribbean nation battle gang violence. However, just hours later, the High Court effectively extended orders first delivered in October to block that deployment by saying that it will not be ruling on whether it could go forward until January. Now, earlier this year, Nairobi agreed to lead the multinational force to Haiti, backed by the UN Security Council, but opposition MPs have been fiercely opposed to the bid. Earlier, I spoke to Dr. Fredrick Ajwang, and I asked him about what this back and forth between the government and the judiciary meant for the deployment in the long term.
So I would say that tentatively for now, we can assume that the deployment will go ahead, by the crucial High Court ruling in January 2026. So, because we know the Kenyan legislators have officially sanctioned the deployment of their 1,000 Kenyan police officers to Haiti today. So we are halfway towards the deployment. So we have to wait until the High Court will actually make a decision on this in January. The Kenyan opposition, as you clearly said, has contested the deployment, asserting that the Kenyan constitution specifically permits the deployment of the Kenyan armed forces, but not the police. But despite the opposition making a case against the deployment, the government majority secured the passage of the motion. So the constitutional legality of the deployment of the police officer is also to be determined by the High Court. So that's why the problem is, does the Kenyan constitution allow the deployment of Kenyan police officers outside the Kenyan judicial boundaries or not? So we know that the High Court is supposed to be making a decision on this issue in January. So we have to wait until the court make the decision before the deployment can go ahead. But again, very much familiar with the Kenyan legal system, it's pretty much possible if the High Court allows and sanctions the deployment, then the civil society organization might again go to the Court of Appeal, to stop the deployment. And so we can have this case going all the way to the Supreme Court, and that might take a bit of time.
So it could be quite a protracted battle to get them to get the police to Haiti, should the government be determined to pursue it. But in general, though, why has there been quite so much back and forth over this? Why has there been so much criticism of plans to send send Kenya's police officers to help another country?
I think precisely because there's no public buy-in into the whole decision to take Kenyan policemen to Haiti, really. Kenyans cannot really understand why the president wants to send 1,000 police officers to Haiti, a country that really has no geopolitical relevance to Kenya. And essentially, Kenya also has its own internal security issues. In the coast region, in the northern part of Kenya, we have the Al-Shabaab problem. So that's why the question is arising that why should we essentially reduce the capacity of the Kenyan police forces to sort of ensure security in the state and deploy those police officers in Haiti, a country that has no complete economic or geopolitical relevance to Kenya. And so that's why the problem is coming in. There is no public buy-in into this process of deploying the police officers to Haiti. I think the president has not really made a robust case to the Kenyan population on why we need to deploy the police officers to Haiti in the first place.